I feel like I've set her up more for success just with that simple knowledge of understanding that we are all different. Gives you that clarity so that you can move forward and focus on the questions that you really do need to, flag and go back to and not be bogged down about. Because if you're questioning each one, then you're just overanalyzing the whole exam. What do you feel like was the biggest transformation for you?
Well, I think my learning type and learning who I am was huge. Just figuring out the way. I know like people always say like, you just got to know the how, like don't memorize, know the how. But I kept figuring out of like, how do I remember the how?
How do I memorize the how?
How do I memorize the how? Exactly.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it until I took the quizzes, but it was like, I recognized most of the information, like flashbacks to like conversations I had and like not the diagram I saw in the book. It was the conversation I had with a friend or, peer or whatever, that's what helped me retain information. So I think learning who I am as a student, because I was able to like breeze through school pretty easily, to be honest with you. I was a B+ student and I was okay taking a B+. So like, this is the first time in my life I've felt like super challenged academically. And I think learning that was huge for me.
Yeah, I see so many similarities in you and myself because same, I was like, school was fine. I didn't get straight A's, but I also didn't really try to get straight A's because B's were comfortable and I didn't have to work too hard. And so that made the fails even more like, what, how do I even change this? And so that's when, diving deeper into, okay, let's take a step back. Let's figure out how to pass this. Like, okay, change up how I'm studying. Like you, I'm auditory, so I love to listen, but it wasn't even just listening. How do I apply that? How do I figure out how to even get in there and not freak out? And I mean, there was still like heart palpitations as I'm pressing finish, but it was this new level of clarity really is the easiest way I can describe it. And it does make a big difference.
Yeah, huge. It was just confidence for me, just knowing I knew way more information or retained way more than previous tries.
Yeah. So you had 2 previous tries before this one, is that right?
Oh yeah. This was number 2. So that was the next exam. Yeah, that was the next layer of this whole thing was like in my head, I was like, well, if I don't pass this one, now I have to wait till September. And I'm like, and then, you really get in your head about that. And so this was a big win.
That's so exciting. Awesome. So I assume that now you're feeling motivated to keep going. Are you giving yourself a little bit of a grace period or anything like that?
A little bit, not too much. To be honest with you, like I'm like a year and a half into this. So I've been studying now for 18 months. And kind of as I mentioned to you, as our relationship's grown, is I think I know the information. And so now that like, I feel like I'm just picking up momentum now. I've heard people like say, I just picked up momentum and just started knocking them out. And that's where I feel like I'm at currently, just with all my fails, all my background, all my studying, that now I have this extra tool that I think I'm just going to start pumping them out. So I've actually already scheduled my next one in 2 weeks.
Nice.
And then, and then I'm going to try and do the next one 2 weeks after that. So hopefully I'm just picking momentum.
So what 3 do you have left?
PA. So I'm going to do PA and then PDD next and then construction.
Okay. So have you taken CE before?
Yeah, I've taken them all.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but so now it's that thing. Now you know the information. Now you have these tools in order to set you up so you feel good, you're motivated. And also if there is a fail, you have these strategies in order to pick yourself up afterwards, rather than letting it totally take you down. But also, you said you've been doing this for a year and a half. The average time is, I think, 2.1 years or something. So like really you're right on track.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you told me that a couple of weeks ago, I was like, it's okay. Like, I was getting in my head, like, I'm not meant to be an architect. This is taking way too long.
I know. Well, and I think that if people, sometimes we hear these stories of people passing in a month or in 6 weeks or in 6 months. And so we are comparing ourselves, and our expectation is that, oh, well, they must be really great at what they do. Well, maybe they just are really good at taking tests, or, maybe they've been working longer. You just never know the circumstance. And it's a hard one to not compare yourself to others, but, finding out a system that works for you, because you even say 2 weeks for some people, that might be way too fast for some people that might work. And so each person, it's great to learn from them, but also still figure out what works best for you.
Yeah. And also what's helped me, maybe I just tell this to myself, but like if I had passed in 6 months and got my license, I don't think I would have been ready to go and take on a project of, even a commercial project or anything like that. I mean, it still kind of scares me, that concept of me taking on a commercial project head on. So it's almost like, I'm using this time because I wasn't ready, and that's just the way it is. So kudos to those that pass in 6 months. I'm not hating that at all. Yeah. But for me personally, I don't even know what to do with the license if I pass it that quick.
Well, I guess they say too that you either get the outcome that you want or you get the lesson that you need. And so those of us who have failed certain exams, we're getting the lessons that we need in order to maybe prevent a lawsuit later down the road, because we had to really solidify that information in our brain. And so I think the exact same thing. Like, I'm actually kind of glad that I didn't pass all on my first try, because when you get a pass, you don't actually even see your score report. So you don't even know, like, did I pass because I knew everything really well, or did I pass by just like a hair? Yeah. Of course, we want the passes, but at the same time, I do feel like I'm a better architect now because I really had to transform how I was going into it. It wasn't just a breeze. I had to dive way deeper, and I feel more confident as an architect now.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. But at the same time, I would say too, I was actually just before this call talking about a commercial project, and I haven't done a commercial. I do all residential. And there's part of me that was like, can I do that? Like, am I equipped for that? Yeah. And I guess so. I'm a licensed architect.
Yeah. So you should always be a little scared.
There's always going to be a learning curve. There's always going to be, and that's part of growth too, is that with new levels come new problems and, confidence, having to boost that up. But
yeah, exactly.
So when you passed, how did you celebrate?
Well, it was snowing here in Utah, whether you can believe that or not.
So we're almost in April. That's crazy.
Yeah, the snow resorts here have like 700 inches of base. It's record breaking over here, but I actually went on a run. I love running, and I had so much adrenaline after I passed. I didn't even know what to do with myself. So I just went out and went on a run in 30-degree weather, and just kind of like, people probably thought I was crazy. I was talking to myself in the street, just like screaming, just like, I did it. Like, I can do this. They say PPD is one of the hardest, if not the hardest. If I can pass that, I can do the rest. And it was then I just went out and had dinner with my family and just kind of took a step back and just relaxed, which is now my version of celebrating these days. So it wasn't anything huge, but me and my wife were talking, we're going to do something big when I get the license, I think. So
yeah, I think that it's important. And I'm sure that your kids were just like so stoked for you to just see because our kids do know like the amount of work we put into it, and seeing that accomplishment. I've had people say like, oh, well, as a mom, you shouldn't be working or whatever. I always think like, what a great opportunity to show them how you can accomplish goals and how you can even go through setbacks. Like, the lessons you're learning right now can be transferred to them is huge.
Yeah. It's my two youngest they're too young. They just think I'm working or whatever. But my oldest, she's in first grade and she's like started doing like spelling tests. And like things like that. So she's been like talking to me about her test. And then she's like, Dad, how's your test going? And then like this last weekend, I was like, I'm in a study. Like, sorry, guys, I can't really hang out, whatever. And she was just super like, yeah, Dad's got to study. Like, we got to go to grandma's house. And like, so, and yeah, it's been fun to tell her too, like, hey, like, life isn't all about flowers and roses. You got to put your work and do your work and work hard to get what you want. So it's been fun to tell her.
You're also now teaching her lessons on how she can better retain information and learn. Like, I'm also more compassionate, I think, with my daughter because she's pretty much same age. She's 6 and she's very active. Like, she's very much an active learner. And it used to bother me that like, if I was reading to her something, she can't sit and like pay attention. She's got to be doing cartwheels and running around. And that used to really bother me because I'm like, she's not paying attention. Then I realized, no, she's just a really active learner. And so for her to move or to learn well, she has to be like kind of moving her body. And so now I can advocate for her, even with her teachers, like let them know. In our traditional school system, it's like you sit at a desk and you have to, but I'm like, she's got to kind of move. And so I feel like I've set her up more for success just with that simple knowledge of understanding that we are all different.
Yeah.